Serendipity. I think that might be a word that not everyone is familiar with. Who knows what this, or thinks knows what this word means? Okay, quite some people. But, I mean, basically every one of you will know what the four-leaf clover means. That's a symbol of luck. It's a good thing that I'm talking in English. In German, it's the slight problem that the word Glück means two things, luck and happiness. Here I'm really talking about luck. If you're using this word often in a very, colloquial context, but if you think about what luck really means is that it's a coincidence, it's if things come together that are unexpected, not planned for, unintended, and that in retrospective turn out to have very positive consequences. And the four-leaf clover is a symbol for that because it's actually not quite that rare, but it's well hidden. In a field of clover, it's hard to find the every 20, 30, 100 one that has four leaves because most of them have three leaves. And so that makes it less available. But there is a trick to it. My girlfriend is an artist. She's called Judith Reintke, and she made an artwork called actually Lucky Clover, Serendipity, and that's 729 clovers with more than 4 or more leaves, and one that has 3 leaves that you can find in this artwork. Actually, she found an 8-leaf clover, and that's really rare. That's lucky. And so. And this was during one summer. I mean, she spent her summer shepherding for her uncle who has sheep. So of course the environment was the right one. But still, imagine inside of a few months finding 729 4 or more leafed clovers. That's a lot of luck, and that can't be just pure luck, can't it? So. The word serendipity also she used in the artwork kind of is a nice concept to think about it. And the basic start of the word serendipity comes from a Persian fairy tale. It was written something in the 12th century. I'm afraid I forgot the name of the author. But a British guy called Horace Walpole mentioned the word serendipity first, referencing to this fairy tale. And this fairy tale is about 3 princes coming from Serendip. It's an old word for Sri Lanka, the island near to India. And these 3 princes wander through the world, and there are a lot of coincidences happening to them, just chance and encounters, things found that during the course of this very nicely constructed fairy tale, later in retrospective all makes sense. But these princes were sensible enough to treat these in an open fashion. Some of these at first seemed irrelevant or even negative, kind of, it all was surprising, nothing they had planned for. But in the end, it all made a full tale and made them incredibly successful in the end. And this made this Horace Walpole to adopt this term for these lucky coincidences that turn out later to be something changing your life, something really great discoveries. It's all about finding. And he also thought a bit about, and later this word serendipity became more and more common and used in literature. There is even a serendipity principle that's used and serendipity gains used in economic terms. And it's kind of, there was a lot of clever people thinking about it, and they tried to distill what the principle of serendipity means to me. And I think of it more disconnecting it from the single circumstance more into an attitude. How can you let serendipity enter your life? How can you make your life be serendipitous or something like that? And it needs basically 3 main components. The one thing is openness and trust. So in the situation, when something unexpected happens to you, you tend to be, oh shit, something went wrong. But look closer. it's very often that when something went wrong, when everything goes wrong, when it's really life-shattering, that's the moment where things can move. That's the moment where great things can start. It's like when you sit with your bleeding feet somewhere, you don't know how to get on. It's really this point when your life can take new turns. But that needs, and this is something you have to cultivate to a certain point, is that you trust that life will go on and there will be something coming after, and you can make something out of that situation. And an openness, you have to take in your surroundings. You have to take in what's these things that are there that you can work with. And that's something you can train. That's really a skill, openness and trust. There's a really, really cool way you can learn that, and that is improvisational theater. I played improvisational theater for 20 years in my life, and I can recommend it to everyone, even though you might not be so comfortable on a stage. It's still something you can do in a training with nice people, because it means you get on the stage, you get perhaps 1 or 2 words as an input, and then you play theater with that, without talking to each other beforehand. People sitting, going on stage, knowing nothing, and then playing a scene. Just some play. And sometimes 20-minute plays just come up out of nowhere, and you can play them. And this is really, really good practice in being very open, because you always have to react what the other person is doing with you, because you don't know what it will be. And to trust them. And you can train this trust. And it's really nice. And for example, I try to enter that also in my daily life by not locking the door to my apartment. I was a host to couch surfers. I mean, couch surfing, most of you might be familiar with. That means on an internet platform, people write, hey, can I stay a night or 2 nights or 2 weeks in your flat? And yeah, I let in 400 people from all around the world in all kind of circumstances in my flat in several years, and I had never a single negative experience. I mean, things went wrong, of course, and things were strange, but there were so many nice people coming into my life by that, just dropping in and dropping out again. But this is such a nice experience that you can trust people. It's okay. 99% of people are really nice people. I mean, they might not be perfectly interesting, they might not be your life partners, but they're fine. They won't wreck your house. And if they do, they apologize at least. And by not locking the door to my apartment, that means if somebody actually really wants to steal something I own, I mean, must be really poor guys, they at least don't break the door, or break the window. So that would be the worst damage, actually, a thief could do in my flat. But there is more to it. I mean, this is kind of preparing the ground. Be prepared that something interesting and nice can happen to you. Just be open. Just trust the world. It's not as bad as you think if you read the news. But to make it really serendipity, that you get these lucky coincidences, it's also that you have to recognize these instances. And of course, it's much better to recognize lucky coincidences if you know things. If you can make connections, and that needs really study, but not studying like rehearsing things. That might be a good training sometime, but be generally open to new information in your life and to connect things, connect people, connect input, and be connected with the world. See what happens. And not judging. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It could be just there. Or even it could be good and it could be something completely different. It's also good. It doesn't have to be better or worse. It can be just both be good. Just be open and connect things and let things happen. So what happened in my life, for example, I'm a scientist actually, currently more like a hobby researcher. I created a new research topic at the university in Linz. It's about mushrooms and materials, ecological material that you can make out of mushroom mycelium. Really cool topic that came to me in really this serendipitous moment. I mean, science generally is something where serendipity is deeply ingrained. There are actually studies and statistics that most scientific discoveries are coming from unexpected results. Things you didn't want to do. Which is kind of clashing a bit that as a scientist you always have to write research grants where you have to detail what you do in the next 3 years. That's completely new and innovative. Yeah, we find ways to deal with that, but of course it's inherently stupid. But in this case, it was like I had my first startup. I sold it. I came back to university. I wanted to found a new startup. I found some nice scientists to work with. We had a really cool topic of batteries. I get really excited and everything. And then the other people, just a few weeks before we wanted to open the companies, the other people said, "Nah, we are afraid. We don't want to do that." And I had to roll everything back again. And I had everything kind of planned and thought about, and then suddenly I was standing there and saying, "Oh yeah, now I have time to think about what to do next." And exactly in kind of almost the worst moment, when I was really kind of exasperated, is a good word for it, I walked through the forest waiting for a phone call of somebody I had to, at a funding agency where I had to say, "Sorry, we don't do it at all. We made you a lot of work, but we won't do it." And then we were doing something called plastic fasten at this time. So we tried, me and my girlfriend, we tried to not use plastic or not create plastic waste for a month. An interesting challenge. I can invite you to do it. And I was, in my mind, connecting everything when I saw this kind of tree eating mushrooms. I mean, here I put the fly agaric because it's also this symbol of luck, but that wasn't the one I was seeing at that time. And seeing this mushroom, I got this idea of this is a really solid thing. This could be used as kind of a plastic replacement material. I found out I knew some ways of how to research these things. I mean, that was my job as a scientist before I founded my startup. So I researched and I found this is something really new. And this is something with a really lot of potential. And then I went to the university. I said to the professor I knew from before, "Hey, I want to do that. I know it doesn't fit completely, not at all to your research topics, but can I use a corner in your labs?" And then things started going, and I established this research topic in Austria. And now it's really the several funding projects are granted. There are even companies now being founded about it. And I'm kind of proud of it that I started it exactly in this strange moment. And this is why if something really happens to you, that you lose your job, all your life plans suddenly fall apart, say yes, something is happening now. So you have your freedom now. This is how freedom feels. It's horrible. But then some new things happen. And these could be absolutely great. And you should make sure that it's great, what happens next. And that's really the bad part. After the serendipitous moments, to make it really nice, you have to work hard. You have to make something out of it. I mean, finding a lucky clover, of course, you have, if you really want to make something really big out of it, you find 728 more and then make an artwork out of it. In my case, it's kind of, I use these moments a lot because I'm always working at the intersection between science, technology, and application. Going from science to technology to real products in a high-tech environment. I call myself an inventor quite often, but that means you need this passion and commitment. But these are just nice words that this is the thing that lets you survive the hard work that comes and all the frustrations that come. My current frustration, no, that's not my current hard work, is sentence. I wanted to do this mushroom topic really, I really wanted to make my life out of it, but I got hijacked by a startup project, and now I'm doing sensors for medical technology. And of course, it's like founding a high-tech startup is always a really tough journey. You need a lot of work, you need a lot of passion, and it's really fulfilling. But I really had the intention when I did that, when I had this moment, that if I put my passion into something, it should make life better for people. It should make a positive impact. And this is what I find inspiring in this concept of serendipity, as I described it before, because the skills and these kind of properties that makes this attitude of being serendipitous is are these things that we need to really make a good world. So always before, when you know, in these open spaces, and then you have the freedom to decide what you do next, then you should do which world do you want to create with that. Whatever you do, you are deciding between options like these. You know, make the world be open, be connected, put your passion into something that helps people, or be mistrustful, be negative, be disconnected, ignorant, and then you create a bad world with it. There is a negative serendipity too that attracts unhappiness, that attracts bad luck. And so that's kind of my message. I'm also, one of my other things is I'm part of the Scientists for Future. We are trying to put a scientific foundation behind the actions of, for example, Fridays to Future, put scientific arguments for making the world better in many ways. And so I actually stood behind people that glued themselves to the street in Linz. It was a really intense experience. So we had this banner and we stood behind them and held it up. And this was one of these moments where things moved for me, because it was really, really tough to be screamed at from people. But it really makes you feel something and makes you change something. So I can invite all of you to think about what these moments are when unexpected things happen and how to turn them into lucky things. And I wish you, may serendipity be with you.